We hope you enjoyed that. We'll be kicking off our Outlook 2015 this Friday. We invite you to check back on Kitco.com every day for our expert interviews. We'll be getting their forecast for the new year. And today we have David Gurwitz on, and we'll be getting his outlook for 2015. So David, thanks so much for joining us today.
Likewise.
And for the folks out there new to David Gurwitz, he works with Charles Nenner Research, and they use cycles to forecast how metals and currencies may react, amongst other things. So David, I know last time you were on, we were looking at gold, and a round of applause to you because you were calling for a bottom in gold in November. You said you could see gold hitting as low as 1120, and then we could see a bounce back up. That seems to be exactly what happened. So David, how did you know, and what's next?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the compliment. We called the top in gold in 1900, 3 years ago. I didn't know you then. I think I started afterwards. And no one, after gold was up 11 years, as you guys know better than anybody, it's been down for 3, and it started bottoming actually in July. Long-term cycles have bottomed. It still took 6 months, more or less, for the bottoming process to be there, but we think longer term, it's going to go back past its highs. So all the people who are depressed for holding gold the last 3 years, and you know there are quite a few, I think they're going to be okay. And, you know, our system is not just cycles which give direction. It's also a target algorithm. Works pretty well a lot of times. And the 1120 was a number that we thought was strong, but we didn't want to go long until it broke a certain level. So gold is one of the things we talked about. We're finally seeing the expected bounce. The buy signal continues. We're long already with a stop around 1190. Daily cycles are up, and we have 2 short-term upside targets, 1244. And if it breaks that, 1282. So that's round 1 where we see the gold move going for now. And silver also a little bounce, but it's not as strong.
David, you mentioned silver, so let's talk silver. And last time you were on, you said that you wouldn't be surprised if silver became stronger than gold, though not in 2015, a longer-term forecast. But for now, you said weekly silver cycles have bottomed?
Correct, but just because the cycles bottom doesn't mean that it's ready to go right away. They bottomed. They could stay bottom for a while. Look, gold has bottomed since July, but it hasn't done much other than several bounces, which we've played. So I think, but what we think gold right now is stronger than silver.
All right, David, let's talk dollar now, which you said could top out, but not yet. How do you see it as we enter 2015?
Well, we called this dollar strength for the last year and change. We said a year and a half ago we'd have a dollar top second quarter of 2015.
Okay, so dollar top second quarter 2015.
Yeah. So now it's funny that, well, I say funny, you know the way the cycles work already. The cycles say something and then the news comes after. Everyone's been flowing into the dollar throughout the world the last year and a half because they're scared. We didn't know that. We just saw cycles would be up and then whatever comes afterwards. So you're asking a great question. Give me a currency view. The answer is the dollar is going to, we think, is going to be strong until February, and then it begins to come down for whatever reason other than cycle tops. We don't know. We think the euro might approach par, but it's going to be surprisingly stronger long term. And we also think the Aussie and the Canadian will probably be strong.
Okay, so let's look at stocks now. And you were calling for a stocky 2015. Do you still see it that way?
Well, let me tell you, we saw this move up to 2070 S&P futures. We use futures a lot because the hedge funds and the big places generally trade futures. We use the Dow as a cash number, but everything else is futures. So for now, while we're on a buy signal, it's too risky to be either long or short. We're waiting. We see with the VIX, which is a volatility index, most people I recommend that they always play something in the VIX because we've been very accurate with the VIX, and it's a way to play. Even if you're in long positions in stocks, you can hedge it with the volatility index. There's a lot of ETFs that do that. The VIX bounced to an intraday 7-week high, but nonetheless, that's still on a sell signal. So we're big fans of standing aside a lot unless things line up. So then next year stocks, we're kind of near a long-term top for many years.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on crude, David. You were saying that long-term crude cycles are getting closer to a low?
Right. Let me tell you about crude. 5 years ago, Charles was on CNBC. Crude was 147. Remember when it hit that?
I do.
And he said we're going to have, and he mentioned a word people don't like to hear, but it's relevant now, deflation. And they laughed. I was about 30 feet away. 6 months later, what was crude? $49. And then since then, it came up to the 100 range, and it's kind of been in that way for more or less the last several years. We said at 93, it was a sell signal, and look where it is now, high 60s. We even have a target. We saw a major correction since we gave a sell signal for crude. We gave it around $97. Still continues. Cycles are near a daily low projected December 17th. Today's December. So a week we think crude bottoms. Our downside target, believe it or not, 58. But if it goes above 67 now, it's a short-term buy signal.
David, finally, I know you were liking grain, you were liking corn. What are you liking today?
Well, today, grains might be topping short term. Longer term, we think the grains will be bottoming within now the next few weeks. And again, we don't cover those as much as the basic stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, but that's what we see for the grains also. So in summary, gold bottoming, silver bottoming, crude bottoming, nat gas long-term down, stocks topping, bonds you didn't ask about, but bonds we think long-term are down. Not yet, but we said long-term would be up for the last 4 years. And the dollar tops beginning second quarter of next year.
Well, David, thanks so much. But what time do you wake up in the morning to do all this?
Well, the question is, do I even go to sleep to start? We have clients all over the world. We have clients in the Far East, so I speak to them at night. I'm in New York, north of New York City. We have clients in Europe that we start with early in the morning. And London, by the way, the London close really affects trading in America. So those who are in America should always look to see the flow changing when Europe closes because it's a big item. The research, which is one page, takes about 5 minutes to read. We added 4 hours of work into 5 minutes of reading. So that's not so easy because sometimes we'll write 28 lines on gold and knock out 25 of them. And so so it takes time to do this. I get up pretty early. But we work very hard at this. We don't manage money, so we're pretty pure about what the signals say, not about trying to do a transaction. A lot of times we're standing on the sideline because we think that's the best move to do.
Well, David, thank you again, and happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. And I look forward to being back on. It's always a pleasure with Kitco, one of my favorite places.
And thanks for watching this edition of Kitco News featuring David Gurwitz. Like I mentioned at the start, we'll have a roster full of experts for you all throughout the month of December. So be sure to check back on Kitco.com daily. In the meantime, I wish you a very happy Wednesday.